All right, so here I have a quick video about the Fujinon XF35mm WR, but I'm going to do this a little bit different while it's unboxing in the background. Nothing really interesting to see. I'll put some bullet points up here and there. I kind of wanted to start comparing and contrasting a little bit vocally about this lens versus the 35 f1.4, since a lot of people debate back and forth like I did in the beginning. And then after that, I'll get to some very unofficial focusing examples, and then I'll get to a quick shot in comparison if you're interested in between the 35 and the 50 and not knowing which way to go as far as focal length is concerned. I'll show a quick demonstration, literally 2 images at the end. I'm not replacing anything, so I don't need equivalents to my other systems or be really redundant. All I'm doing is adding, so my reasons will be different than yours, or they may be the same. So if you're looking to replace your existing gear with the fastest 35, then yes, the 1.4 is the only choice for you. So just say price is a deciding factor. If $200 is too much for you, then the 1.4 is not even a you might as well not even look at the pros and cons for that, because there's no point. You got to get the 35 f2. The next one will be the autofocus noise, right? Now, let me just put this in perspective. The way you hear me right now is not realistic. It's for presentation purposes. When you see people talk about how loud a lens is, it's for presentation purposes. Not all, but most will mic up the lens, or they'll put it closer to the microphone so you can hear it. It's to exaggerate it, right? So keep that in mind. I'm not saying the lens is quiet. To compare them side by side, yes, the f2 is quieter, but they both make noise, right? Now, if you need one that makes less noise, then yes, it's the f2 for you. Or pick a totally different lens that's gonna be more quiet. So for me, I don't shoot like that. It's not an issue. I will say shooting indoors, same subject, same scenario, they both, the copies that I use, updated firmware on an XT2, they both focus and look equally sharp, wide open. They both focus quickly or decently for what I expect from them. The only thing I will say the difference is if you're looking about aesthetics only, right? Like I will say, I don't know if it's the later lens coatings or something, maybe, or the way they structure the glass elements or whatever it is. And I'm only talking about wide open here, because most lenses wide open are a little less contrasty and less colorful until you start stopping it down. But both of them wide open, I noticed that in 1.4 f2 equal exposure, the f2 looked a little bit more contrasty, ever so slightly, but it was noticeable when you looked at them side by side. Now in the real world, if you only had one or the other, you may not think, oh, I wish it was more contrasty or it was less contrasty. I don't know. The shadow areas in the f2 looked a little bit more dark, and in the 1.4 it was a little softer transition, and that could be an issue for you too. So it all depends on what you're looking for as far as that's concerned. All right, so the next thing is weather sealing. The 35 1.4 is not weather sealed. The Fujinon 35 f2 is weather sealed. Weather sealed meaning weather resistant. All right, so the last thing I wanted to point out was that the 35 1.4 has a breathing or moving element that protrudes outside of the lens as it focuses, while everything is internal on the f2 version. Now that may or may not mean something to somebody else. So as far as build quality goes, I just give it to the f2 with the weather resistance, and also the everything is internal. That's the main deciding factor for me, actually, not even the image quality. Even though I think the 1.4 is slightly more pleasing, it's not so much, the slight is not big enough for me to make that jump. Now, and I also said I'm not depending on this for equivalent or as in a replacement for me. So that's also why that is not as important to me. And the build quality is more important to me in this regard. So for you, if it's image quality alone, maybe the 35 1.4 I would still give it the edge. I wouldn't make the deciding factor based on focusing unless that pertains to you. Like in quiet venues, it's not as big of a deal as it kind of seems online. All right, so here's just to see or to show you how it mounts or how it looks when it's on attached to, this is a Fuji XT2 and this is a 35 f2, and here's the side view as well. And this is with the lens hood. And here's how it looks from the front. All right, so here's a couple just unofficial type of demonstrations, the demonstration that I'm doing for autofocus. I think this is like the medium square. It's not the smallest, and it's on single point. And you can see as I zoom in, it's pretty sharp and it's wide open, and I'm at a higher ISO for a crop sensor. Now I'm only about maybe 5 feet or less away, but what I'm focusing on with the small square here is a very small letter A for automatic. And zoomed in all the way, it's especially shooting it wide open at infinity, it's really sharp, and these are good quality lenses. A lot of times you'll see fringing on like a dark contrast area with white and black like this, And I'm gonna zoom in, and maybe it's already corrected. I'm not really sure, but I don't really notice it here at all. It just looks like the white is clean. I don't see any like purple fringing or anything like that going all the way around those edges. So it looks like it holds pretty well, at least in this specific little demonstration I just did. I have a quick demonstration shot, literally 2 shots that I did with some high-speed sync stuff, and you'll notice if you watch the high-speed sync video, if you haven't already, it's the same background behind the scene quick shot that I did for here that I'm showing you. I have a 50 and I have a 35, and here I'm just going to talk more about the focal lengths, not the high-speed sync situation. So I got a 35 and a 50. Some people jump from 23 to 50. Because 50 is my normal favorite perspective on full frame, 35 naturally I kind of gravitate towards it, but you're going to have a difference between the 35 and the 75mm equivalent. Color contrast and sharpness wide open seem to be pretty much identical. There's nothing that's obvious enough to stick out to me that I think one is better than the other. So I do my best to frame the same, the subject the same, and it is a little different. I'm a little closer with the 50mm by like half a step, literally. So some of the things I'm saying may be exaggerated, but it's going to be so small that the point I'm trying to make is still going to hold true. Okay, so this is not a scientific experiment. This is just a quick demonstration image to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, and it should be enough to get my point across. What you need to look at is not necessarily the focal. Well, first of all, the focal length is a few steps is going to make the difference if you're outdoors. Inside, 35 will probably make more sense, or even a 23, because you want more environment. 75 equivalent, which is the 50, is a bit tight for inside, especially smaller spaces. Outdoors, I prefer the 50 with these 2 lenses. Even though I said full frame equivalent, my favorite is 50 in or outside. It's because it's only f2. Then let me explain. So even though they're both f2, you'll notice that the shot on the right is going to be a 50. The shot on the left is going to be the 35. They're pretty much the same, but you'll notice that the background is a little more pleasing on the 50. It's a little more smoother. It's just a little better because the focal length is a little bit longer at the same f-stop. So if you're looking for that, then maybe the 50 would be better for you outside if you don't want to plunge for the 56-1.2, which is a lot more money also. So the other thing would be the compression, and the 35 will show more of the background in the background, frame the same at the same subject. The 50 will show less of the background in the background due to compression. Keep that in mind when you shoot, when you think about where you're shooting and what you want out of the image. If this 35 was a faster lens, I wouldn't even use the 50 for me personally, but because it's not, you kind of have a trade-off. So it's about knowing your tools, the weaknesses, the pros and cons, and making the best decision for what you need it for. So with that being said, hopefully it helped you and didn't confuse you anymore into making a better decision for what you may want it for as well. If this was helpful at all, please hit like and subscribe, and make sure you hit that notification icon to get future updates on future videos, or visit www.howtoandreviews.com. Till next time.